Hello and welcome back to Paranormal NL Podcast, located in Newfoundland and Labrador, Canada. That's PNL Podcast for short. I'm your host and founder, Jen Noseworthy. Thank you for tuning in to UPRN, United Public Radio Network, 107.7 FM in New Orleans and 105.3 FM on that Gulf. For tonight's creepy Cape Breton special on UPRN segment number 38, I've got a special guest tonight waiting backstage from Nova Scotia, Canada, who I'll bring on shortly. Now it's time to grab your favorite summer cold one, a few munchies, and get ready for the spooky show tonight. Paranormal NL Podcast is sponsored by the Bog Team. It's a boots-on-the-ground Bog Team doing historical paranormal investigations in Newfoundland, Canada. PNL Podcast believes in supporting international paranormal networking and highlighting global paranormal people, places, and things. You can follow PNL Podcast and the Bog Team on their link tree at Paranormal NL Podcast. Now let's get on with the show. Tonight I'm gonna bring the guest up on the stage, and we're gonna do, in her honor, I'd like to perform a land acknowledgement in the traditional language of the Newfoundland and Labrador people of Canada, where I reside. And let's bring on our special guest. Dawn, welcome.
Hello.
Hi. Thanks for being on the show tonight. Now, I should say welcome back. I know this is your first time on UPRN, but she was previously on Paranormal NL Podcast Season 2, Episode 75, and she's with Cape Breton, creepy Cape Breton. But what I'm going to do, before we keep talking, I'm going to do a land acknowledgement. And I'm just prepping the computer here to do that, doing a couple stop screens and presenting here. You gotta love the StreamYard, hey? I'm gonna pull up here we go, and share. And can you see that up there on the screen? Here it is. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and start this. You will hear it playing in the background, and I'll translate it into English for y'all. So this is in honor of our guest tonight. St. John's is home to a rich, diverse, and vibrant urban indigenous community.
Eric dan de
Located
nacht,
on the
mooi
ancestral and unceded territory of the Beothuk.
Kiwagis na Beothuk. Mag me gal ach
The lands and waters in and
nada
around the city have traditionally served as a gathering place for the Mi'kmaq. The broader region of Newfoundland and Labrador
Suli Angari Yau Yut,
home to diverse indigenous people, including First Nations,
Allight Inuit, Alanga Yuit.
Chakuimam Nenat, Notstagatat, Kanagateni has a sino, Magnosogetina, Chukuinagateni has seen.
3 times.
Get me the enemy, ach, get the enemy, go away. Giseli achsebenet nige, Gilasik, ach dan el nigenegawach. Delian Kota,
Nitual. The past,
Nituavut, Anna now we lu, Siao, Ulumi, Sionitsimilu, Baiti Nutsite.
Okay, thank you so much for being on the show with us today, Dawn. I really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you for having me.
So for the folks who don't know you, tell us a little bit about yourself and how Creepy Cape Breton came about.
I guess it just started off as just a web series before, and I started out just Haunted Cape Breton. It was just like ghost stories, because I used to work in radio for years, and I've been into ghost hunting since I was a teenager, and just kind of carried on as I got older. I guess after the web series, I just eventually met up with Donna Davies from Ruby Tree Films, and that's who helped me kind of get more into my ghost stories, like to make them onto a broader audience, like Bell 5. And that's what happened. So I just basically, the first season seemed to get a lot of media attention, I guess because it was new. Second season, not so much, which I'm surprised. But has more. And the thing is, it actually is a lot more of a higher budget for season 2. We even have better special effects, better music. The stories are a lot scarier, and you'll see it has grown in its own way. And I think it's. I don't want to give too much away, but I do have a lot of stories that happened while filming Creepy Cape Breton, even Creepy Cape Breton 1. Even when you do these shows, a lot of things do happen to me, especially when I do these paranormal shows. It's kind of a part of the journey as well.
Dawn, can you paint a picture for the people listening around the world where Cape Breton is and a little bit about it?
Well, we're in the Atlantic. We're Cape Breton. We're in Nova Scotia, and we're it's a mixed type of population: Scottish and Mi'kmaq, Acadian, and French, and it's a nice, quiet little place. I mean, it's kind of in the middle of nowhere. I know it's not a city or anything, so. But I think that's why the ghost stories there are very important to retell, because it's easy to get lost when it comes to all these other ghost series, and they're middle of these big places, and they have so much. They have more of a spotlight than little places like Cape Breton.
Well, tell us a little bit more about how you said you were talking a little bit about earlier how Creepy Cape Breton came about and how you got into the role of director and producer.
Well, it started off early. I've been doing it longer than people realize. I created my own films. I can't go back on a date. I have to look. But I pretty much just self-produced, directed, everything like that. Pretty much did it all on my own, because I went to film television school and radio and television, and yeah, I just kept doing it on my own. I didn't have a lot of friends, and I still don't. I don't have a lot of people to help me out and to put it together. But I said,
film production is expensive too, right? It's a big venture.
It is, but these days everyone has iPhones and that. So I just used my own iPhone, and I know how to edit and did everything on my own. And I have radio background experience, so it was nothing to me. So I just kind of just dived right in. But now I can be a little bit more pickier with a production crew and people like Donna Davies, who've done things like Shadow Hunters and a lot of other ghost paranormal shows you'll see. And usually she's kind of behind it. So she's been a lot of help, and having that extra help there, who knows how TV works and has the connections and can help me put everything together with the funding and everything like that.
Yes, the more the merrier in production and stuff like that, right?
Because there is a lot of money involved. You do need to have the money for it and everything else, and camera people, but every Creepy Cape Breton, I wear so many hats. I'm a producer, director, narrator, writer, and I even shot a lot of footage in Creepy Cape Breton 1 and 2.
So where did the love for this come from? Like, where did this spark, or how did this spark come about for you? For the stories and whatnot.
Well, I always been into them. I always been into horror films. Me and my sisters would watch these shows. We're growing up, and we would make jokes and say, "Oh, someday we're going to do this in a horror film, or I'm going to make a horror film and do this, or make a ghost story and do this." And it just ended up becoming what it was. Just started out as us joking around, and just turned into something bigger.
Did some of the stories that are on there, are some of them kind of near and dear to where you're from, or your family or friends' stories, or maybe do you want to talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, most of the stories, all of them, pretty much all of them. It's not all of them, but most of them. Even in the first part, I heard these growing up when I was younger, and I just. I never really felt, I guess I didn't think it was a big deal, but I was always interested in them. But I didn't think I'd be someday retelling the stories I heard as a kid and, making it into a film. So, even with the Hat Man and the hitchhiker story that comes in there, you're going to see that in the second season.
That's a popular one, isn't it? Hat Man, for people all over the world. What do you think so many people see the Hat Man?
Well, I guess I guess with me, I didn't believe it at first. Actually, I just only found out about this one accidentally when I was working on a story for Haunted Cape Breton before it became Creepy Cape Breton. Um, it was just, I thought it was something people were making up online because you know how Slender Man became something
Right.
online.
Yeah.
Creepy Cape Breton, when it came to the Hat Man, I figured in Haunted Cape Breton before that, I figured, this is something people are just, maybe they just thought they seen it. They always say it's a hat and a coat. When I spoke with an elder, and this is an elder like that went to residential schools with my mom, and he was older, and he just, I was telling him some stories, trying to get stories from him.
Right.
And I said, I don't know, people are talking about this Hat Man guy. I said, I think it's just something people found online. It's probably not real. And his face, like, he just kind of froze for a moment there. And he says, that's so strange you mentioned that, because when I was younger, he says, I seen the Hat Man, and this was like back in the 1950s, before internet and everything like that. So
Okay.
that's where it dated it back. And I said, oh my goodness, so that's when I realized that this was not an internet type of hoax or anything. It was for real.
Yeah, no, I get a lot of people with Hatman experiences. And I didn't realize before I started podcasting how popular that entity actually is. And I've got this one pulled up here that your Hatman episode actually was selected last year at the Fogfest Horror Film Festival here in St. John's. And I got to give a shout out to our friends over at Grind Wine and Shane Mills and the crew and Buddha and all the boys. Mike Hickey. So were you able to get to Fogfest?
I don't go to a lot of events. I'm not very social, I'll be honest. I know I have family, have kids, so
Yeah, it's kind of hard to travel, right?
Yeah, it's hard to travel. I stick to myself. Even doing these films, they come on the set with me. That's what a lot of the times you'll even see them in the films.
Okay. Do you enjoy doing the paranormal investigation aspect of it?
That's the reason why I started.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely. Yeah. Oh, geez. I mean, I did it even when I was younger. I was starting out, and I done it then, and it just, I figured out if I'm going to tell the stories, I might as well have a little ghost hunt in there. Try to give everybody everything, a little bit of everything, not just give them a ghost hunting show that's just ghost hunting. I tried to have the stories in there, given some great visuals and some scary music. We have a lot of great effects in season 2, and I really wish people check out season 2, because that's the one that really is a lot. And you'll know why it's very unique. It's not like a lot of ghost shows. And we try to put in Mi'kmaq folklore, Mi'kmaq stories in there. We try to mix it in.
I love that part of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
The traditional stuff. I really wish I could get more of that on my podcast about, the indigenous stories, because there's a lot of them.
Yeah, I mean, it's not even just, it's just some of them are not like, they're pretty linked to a lot of the stories that we have, I mean, that are non-natives and mix. It's just like the little people, and you have your elves and all that, and then you have your Gugues, which is our Bigfoot. It's just different things. And then in this season too, it's funny, I've heard a different word for it. It was called the Sesquidale, and that's also another word for the hairy Bigfoot.
Okay.
And that would be for season 2. So it's one of the first episodes actually, and that one was a really great story from an elder, a prayer leader in Escasoni, yeah. And it was Wilma Simon. She had a lot of great stories, and I could have spoken to her for hours because she had so many stories, and she was amazing. And she wouldn't tell them to anyone. She's like, someone asked me to tell her the story before, and she said, no, I don't. I didn't want to share it, but she did share it with me, which I felt very privileged to have that. So I really took that in honor, and definitely it was just great to have her sit down with us.
And it must be great, to hear from the elders and to get this out into a video format, so more people can hear the stories.
Yeah, I think I think the stories are a lot more deeper in some way too. Not that nobody else's stories are not. It's just that we have a different way. We don't all have different ways, but we kind of have linked them to spirituality as well. And you'll see in this one, for the Bigfoot one, how Wilma Simon does that. And I think it's a really great story. It's Yeah, that is one of the stories that I kind of was looking for in the past, but I couldn't get it. So getting it this season it made me really happy to actually be able to get that one. Um, season also for the Hat Man Part 2, because we have Hat Man Part 1 in season 1, but we also have Hat Man 2 in season 2 as well. So that one was a lot more. I thought it was a lot more scarier than Part 1 myself, because it goes into not just the fact that it was just haunting Mi'kmaq reserves within Cape Breton. There's another person that does step forward that's not on the Mi'kmaq reserve and has a very strong encounter with Hat Man. And then we get a special guest. We have Leonard. Sean Leonard is actually on the show for this one. And I think that was great to have him and to have Sean Leonard to give us his perspective of the Hat Man.
Are there any differences in your rendition of Hat Man? For example, he has mostly a lot of times red eyes. Does he always have short hair, or is it sometimes long?
Some people say he can blend into whatever community he goes to. Some people, I did hear someone say he did look like a Native man. He did look like a Native man. He had like a tough looking skin, and he had a Native features, but you couldn't really make out his face though. But that's another thing I will say as well. But I do hear some people say that wherever community he goes, he tries to blend in with them. He'll change his features slightly, or he'll have red hair, or he'll have maybe more light skin.
Interesting. I wonder, could he be part of like a shapeshifter type of entity?
There's some people, we heard it could be some type of a demonic spirit or a spirit of tragedy that feeds off of tragedy. And main people that have seen him from what I experienced seem to be surrounded by tragedy, and they see the Hat Man. It's funny because every person I spoke to that's seen the Hat Man either had some suicidal encounters around them, or something bad happened, or where they live a terrible tragedy happened. And what we did mention in Hat Man 2 was that actually it's in reserve mines, and I'll tell you a little bit about reserve mines. There was 2 major mining disasters within that town in reserve mines. I mean, it was a little further up in Glace Bay, the Waterford areas, and those mines killed, like, one was 82 people. I could be getting this wrong, and the other one killed like a ton of people, and it just explosion devastated the whole community years ago.
And that must have soaked right into the land, right?
And behind that, what happened there is that a lot of the rubble from the accidents, and this is why they call it reserve mines, that area where Gail is from, they took a lot of that, a lot of the rubbish and everything, like I don't even know if it would be deceased or anything that's from that. They would take that and put it in reserve mines, whatever's left over. So that's why it's called reserve mines.
Interesting.
And that's where she's seen the Hat Man.
And, like you said, it seems to feed off of really dark energy. And if you're, have a lot of sad stuff going on, well, Hat Man might show up. You never know.
Yeah. I think I heard so many stories. I didn't get all of them. So, I mean, I just said I'll probably get the main stories this time, because there's still some that I didn't even collect. It was funny because I actually did speak to somebody else that said they had a Hat Man experience, but I didn't know anything about their lives. And they did tell me eventually later that they actually did attempted suicide.
Oh, they did?
Yeah.
Is that before or after they saw the Hat Man they attempted? After. Yeah. Now, I wonder, does he like try to push people towards that and scare them enough to get even deeper and darker?
I think it's something like that seems to feed off of this type of energy. Certain ones can feed off a certain energy, and this one kind of feeds off of the darkness, the tragedy.
Yeah. Now, in season 2, you said there's going to be a lot more different exciting things. Are there any other topics that you want to tease us with, or?
Well, I do one on demonic entities as well. There's another one, and the Hat Man's not in that one, but it's demonic entities. And
was that from a local person who had an experience?
2 local people. That one is I don't want to go into it too much, but but it's on demonic entities that attack 2 children. There's 2 kids well, they're older now, but they talk about their childhood experience with demonic entities. And that was very interesting. I think people might enjoy that one.
So children had experiences.
Yeah, these is based on their childhood encounters.
Yes, there are a lot of dark tales when it comes to stuff like that. It makes you wonder, right? Like our kids, a lot of kids are more open to a lot of things, and I don't know why the dark entities would feed off a child, because they're usually, so happy and everything like that.
I think it's because kids are so much open. Their psyche is very strong, and it's not really in control. When you get older, you start to control it more, and
right.
Like
I guess they can find it easier to scare them and just feed off that fear,
Yeah, it's
So for Creepy Cape Breton, if you're looking for it in Canada, you got to go on 5TV1, and it's on Channel 1, and then 5TV app, and that's free. And you go in there and scroll down. I think you scroll down to Nova Scotia, right?
I
From
think
what I remember.
I have it myself, Bell 5. All you have to do is type in Creepy Cape Breton, and it'll say Bell 5 app, and you just click it there, and you'll see it on TV. Sometimes it comes up as a
Now, is there, and you can have season 1 is on there, and also now season 2. But is there anywhere else besides on the 5TV1 app that you can find it? Is it on StreamYard or YouTube or other places?
No, unfortunately, no. And that's something that people asked me on the page, like, is there another way we can get it? And unfortunately, no. I wish there was.
So it's a Canadian exclusive at this point.
Yeah, well,
I had a friend who recorded on a Canadian show, and I'm trying to remember the name of the show. It's an Indigenous show. I want to say Red, is it Red Ochre? Red something. Red Earth Uncovered. And you can't get it in the US, so I kind of recorded it and sent it to him on Messenger. But yeah, it was definitely worth a watch. So do you want to talk a little bit about some of your other experiences that you've had paranormally? Maybe that's something that you've had off air, like personal experiences? Anything that sticks out in your mind when you've done investigations?
There's done even before I done investigations. Every time when I do a new Creepy Cape Breton, actually I get a very strong encounter with something paranormal, and that nothing subtle. It's always something extreme.
Okay. Does it come through more on the spirit box, or does it come through another way?
No, I'll just encounter something like paranormal within my house, and it always happens right before I start a show. Before I did Creepy Cape Breton 1, I actually did encounter a ghost that was actually more of a premonition, I guess, standing in my living room looking at me, and it was a deceased man. The funny thing is I was actually collecting stories. I was collecting stories and trying to find different stories, and because I always do pre-interviews before I get people on the show.
Right.
I did have a creepy experience to somebody else that would probably find it pretty creepy. As I was drinking my coffee and I was writing things down, I was talking to someone on the phone, and I said, "Look, I'll talk to you later. I'll get back to you later on your story." And then, of course, I look up, and then I see a man standing not even like 7 feet away from me, and it was a man who was deceased. He looked like he's been dead for about a week. Bluish look to him, and he looked like he had a type of overalls and everything on. I can tell his whole features, but the fact that he looked deceased, and that was something I was like, wow, I was standing there holding my coffee, looking at him, and the next thing you know, I just said, okay, he's just blinking, coming out, blinking, coming in like an actual person. Next day, after I seen that, I opened up my Facebook, and of course, I seen a missing man, and it was the exact same man, and he was in my community.
Oh,
Same overall, same mustache, everything standing, and he even was posing the same in the picture, except he wasn't deceased.
That's amazing.
And just not even a week after that, because I told my mother, my mom was alive then, and I told her, I said, gee, that's so odd. I said, but he looked deceased, and we were going on about it. And she said, that's so odd. So maybe he's okay though. I said, yeah, maybe he's all right. I don't want to say anything, but he looked deceased when I was looking at him.
Right, yeah.
And later, of course, they find him, and he was deceased.
He was trying to reach out to you.
Yeah, it was pretty strange. Wow. That's what happened, and that's normal for me to happen every time I start a Creepy Cape Breton or something paranormal. I get a strange experience.
So I guess that they know you're looking for guests, and they're kind of going around saying, "Hey, she's looking for people."
Yeah, like a paranormal audition.
They come out of the woodworks to come and talk to you.
Yeah, so that was a weird one. Well, Savoy Theater, we do one on Savoy Theater, and that's a theater in Cape Breton, in Glace Bay.
Okay.
And everyone was so helpful. We had a lot of local actors from Savoy take part in that, and it was great. That had a lot of paranormal experience there. My camera guy actually collapsed on our first tour. Yeah, because of
really?
Yeah, it was very. That one had a lot of energy in that place. It's a beautiful place, though, mind you. If you ever come down to Cape Breton, you should go Savoy. It's beautiful. They have a ton of shows there.
Are there any places in Cape Breton for ghost hunters or, let's say, paranormal tourism that you would send somebody to go?
Well, right now they have the Old Sydney Society has their ghost walk going on, and that's goes on to North End. North End in Sydney, Cape Breton is actually very haunted. It's where the old settlers used to go. It's kind of like the outcast town. People used to get send there, and so there's a lot of historic homes in that area. So probably, yeah, in the North End of Sydney. That will be a place. They have the Wicked Walk. I think I was looking at that today.
Oh, okay, the Wicked Walk.
It's called the Wicked Walk.
Interesting. Yeah, so there's the Wicked Walk. Now, we forgot to mention, I'll pull this one up. Maybe you want to talk a little bit about this.
Oh, well, actually, that's award for another documentary, because I do documentary as well, not just ghost stories. I'm a documentary filmmaker. That was a film called Songs of Unama'ki, and that was something I co-wrote with Donna Davies, and I also directed. But the next award for another one, which was Screen Nova Scotia, I did get nominated. Creepy Cape Breton did get nominated as one of the best directed, one of the nominations. We didn't win, though.
That's awesome. Well, congratulations for getting nominated. That's a big deal, right?
Yeah. Excuse me.
I was just looking through your bio now, and you've done a lot of other things. You mentioned the songs, right? You co-directed, was it with Jeff Miller? But wasn't that on CBC Gem?
It's on CBC Gem.
Yeah.
I also co-directed with Farouk did as well. That's a music film. That's another one.
Now, didn't you also do some Land and Sea?
I did quite a few Land and Seas already so far. I did. The last one I did was Exploring Mi'kmaq Medicines. I was on Medicines.
Nice. Okay. And Finding Our Talk. And there's another one I think called Moose Camp.
Moose Camp. That one was a fun one. And there is another one I'm actually working on now, but I can't get into details. And it's not ghost related. Those are just docs, but yeah, I do those also at the side as well. And yeah.
So yeah, you jack of all trades, that's for sure. So is there any other stories that you can think of that you want to talk about in relation to paranormal experiences?
I guess for each show there we had some paranormal, like I mentioned in Savoy, we had some paranormal experiences on set. Even for the first season, we had some. For even during, I think it was the haunted church one.
Something came through in the church?
St. Patrick's Church, yeah, sorry. Well, that one had a lot of paranormal activity just being there.
Do you have like a certain equipment that you prefer to use, Don? Or you prefer just to kick it old school and do like by touch or dowsing rods or?
I do have dowsing rods, but I'm still kind of playing with them. I mean, they have worked pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
I just use typical stuff like like EMF. I don't even
Right.
know if the batteries are on. It must be dead. But the EMF detectors, I would use something like this, and
Yep.
what else I use? I have like a spirit box, one of these.
Do you ever get any traditional things come through on Spirit Box? Because there was an episode I was talking with Beyond the Hunting. I talked with them recently, and they had some Newfoundland slang words come through. Have you ever had any, traditional words come through?
Lots of times, even in these shows. I mean, I don't always put everything in. So I just kind of put in what I can get because you only have a certain amount of time to put in so much, right? So
Right, yeah, because of I guess commercials and stuff like that, right?
yeah, and you buy a certain amount. You're given a certain amount of time by the broadcaster. Like for this one, I'm given 60 minutes, so I just
Mhm.
have to make all these shows within that time.
Right.
Yeah, just long as I'm giving them the same amount of time, 60 minutes. But I guess in season 2, you can probably see a lot of Mi'kmaq response. There is answers in Mi'kmaq. There is. We get that. I actually heard some chanting in one of them, but you can't quite hear it in the season 2 that well when you play the audio. But I had my audio on and I listened to them like crazy. I go back and forth all the time, and I can actually hear someone chanting.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
That's
and
awesome.
so it happens a lot. I think season 2, there's a lot of stuff that there's stories that were never told before that will be in season 2 that you will see that are, I think people would really appreciate when they actually get a chance to watch them.
Oh, I see you're using a candle in the background. Do you ever use any other things like crystals or sage or things like that for protection or?
No, not. I mean, I do smudge sometimes.
Right. Yeah. Do you ever
Me,
like offer tobacco or things like that or anything else that?
no, no. I mean, it is part of my culture, I know, but I don't. I'm not. I don't put myself as a traditionalist, even though I was brought up traditionalist, and my dad's traditionalist, and I was brought up around that. We
Mhm.
used to operate the sweat lodge, everything, and you know,
Right.
I'm pretty open to everything. That's how I am. But usually before I go on any ghost hunt, I make up an offering usually to the spirits. That's
Okay.
what I
What
do.
kind of offering do you recommend for
Could be
different
anything,
people?
depending on your culture. Depending on your culture, if you want to offer incense or if you want to offer fruit or something or anything like that, and just
Okay.
give it to your guides and say, hey, I'm here, and just protect me, watch my back, and most
Bring
likely
forth the light spirits instead of the dark ones.
yeah,
That's what the offering, right?
your little bodyguards. And yeah, I mean that's pretty much what I would do. I don't go big into this into like smudging, putting out a big ceremony. I do sometimes, I mean, because it's part of my culture, but I'm very basic. I just talk to them like I'm doing an interview. I mean, maybe just the documentary person in me. I just interview everyone, even to me, the spirits. I'm doing my job even then with them.
That's like today we were out driving around myself and my husband, and sometimes we'll just do like an impromptu. We're at this graveyard, and I guess they must have had we call it the flower ceremony, where everybody goes down and puts down the flowers and that. But we noticed a lot of UK flags, so we said, "Oh, are there any military people here?" And they came through and said Navy. So yeah, that was interesting, and because it was right next to the water too, so we were trying to get them to tell us what war they were in and whatnot, but they weren't really talking to us. But they did say the Navy, and that was nice.
Yeah,
They said they were with their family.
oh. No, we get a lot of some of them. I find certain ones like that are high authority figures, like either soldiers or someone who was very rich, I guess, back in the day, or any noble type of person. Usually, they don't like to be told and commanded by
No.
anybody. So it's really odd with that. They'll just answer when they want to.
Or sometimes you'll have them say, "Hey, come in and have a cup of tea."
Yeah, there's some
Driving by like an abandoned house, right? It's like, yeah, there's definitely somebody in there who's lonely.
Yeah, there's some friendly ones too. Yeah, so that's nice when you get that. Yeah, you get a few friendly ones.
Do you ever get any trickster ones, like who pretend they're something, and then later you figure out, oh, this is way too intelligent, right? This is not what it seems to be.
Um, I haven't really. Most of the spirits ones I get are usually older places, but did have my own type of experiences like that in my own house. I mean, I had one that would be an imitator. I wouldn't call it doppelganger because that's different than an imitator. And it'll
Right.
imitate anything, imitate my kids, imitate. I had a
What?
cat, it would imitate my cat.
It imitated your cat, did
Yeah,
it?
I
No
was
way.
pregnant one
Oh my
time,
god.
and actually, when I was pregnant with my first child, I remember I said, "Geez, I gotta open that door." It was like 1 o'clock at night and 1 o'clock in the morning. And I went to the door and I said, "Oh, geez, I'm gonna open this door and just something's there. I just know it." And I opened the
Right?
door in the dark hallway. There's my cat looking at me. I said, "Hey, I put because I usually put him in a laundry room at nighttime, and 'cause
Yeah.
he's kind of bad. He'll ruin things and throw up everywhere." And I'm like, "Okay, I'll put him in there." I'm like, "There's no way you got out." And I'm like, looking at him. And I said, "That's it. I'm picking you up." I go to go grab him. Right just when I grab him, I'm just like 1 inch away from him. Boom, he disappears
Oh my
right in
gosh.
front of me.
Wow.
Yes, I mean, that was something that used to happen to me when I was, yeah, when I used to live, I mean, at the same place. So it was like an imitator, imitate everything, imitate my son. One time I saw my son go down the stairs and I came up to him, but it wasn't him.
No, that must have been
So,
strange. Hey, what did your son, did you tell him that happened, or?
no, I didn't tell him. I didn't want to freak him out. So some things I do see and I won't say anything. Just
Do you
not.
ever get, you think, attachments or anything that follows you home?
No, oh wait, one time, twice, and this was because I find if I'm telling a story, especially for me, because
Yeah.
I tell the stories, right? They get attached to me, depends on what I do. I had an experience when I used to do radio ghost stories, and it was on a little girl named Julie, and
Oh,
she was haunted member two. And when I did her story, I actually did get followed after that because I went to the daycare where she haunts, and my things went off, everything. And I lived alone. I didn't wasn't married then, and I would come home at the top of my stairs. And I told this to another podcaster, and I think it was Maritime. I don't know, but anyway, I would go to the top of the stairs and I would see her standing there every time after work. Anytime I come
huh.
up the stairs, she would be there for like a brief second or 2 seconds and then gone. And that would happen until I finished putting the story out on the
Right.
radio. And then once I put it on the radio, I never seen her again. It was like I had to put it out on the radio because it was a radio special I was making. And
So
once
she wanted her story out, and
she wanted the story out, yeah. And it
interesting.
happens
Okay.
with creepy no, haunted Cape Breton. I had the same thing with a little boy named David Knockwood, and I don't know if that was him, but people believe it was. I went into the basement and I did a ghost box session in their house, and after that, that's when I heard a voice in there say, "Hey, I want to follow you." And within that few weeks, I literally was followed by this little boy. I even actually woke up looking right at him, and
Oh, you saw him. Okay.
woke up, and it wasn't scary at like
Mhm.
afterwards, but it was scary at first because I mean I was just waking up to go grab a cup of coffee, and it was sunny out, everything was nice, and I said, "Geez, I gotta get myself a cup of coffee," and I turned and looked at the side, and there I was face to face with him like this, and he
Wow.
was looking at me, and I was looking at him right in the eyes, and he was dead, looked dead,
Mm.
like decayed. Like I always see them, they look dead, and he looked shocked. He kind of went back like this, and I said,
He was surprised you saw him?
and I even pointed. I said, you know," and he disappeared. But
Hmm.
that's the type of things that
Wow.
happen to me. But after I put
Now,
it,
has any of this stuff happened to your mom or your dad or anybody else in your family?
um, I don't not really to my dad, but my mom, got a lot of stuff like this happen to her.
Yeah.
She would like get in a lot of dreams and stuff. But yeah, that anytime after I told this boy's story, though, after I did, I stopped seeing him.
He wanted his story out.
Want this story out again. So, I mean, that's why I love doing these too, because I feel there is an importance in this, just telling stories. And,
I agree. I've had, you go around and you have some people say, well, you go back to the same place and they keep saying the same thing. I can't find my body. Help me find my body. It's like, okay, you kind of feel bad, right? You want to help them.
I had that a few times, and I felt like, because I didn't play it back fast enough, and you hear that and you think, oh my goodness, I wish I would have done something. And yeah, it does happen.
Yeah, we had one literally say, I need help. I need you to help me find my body. And we were like, oh my gosh, like, where do we look? But yeah, scary stuff sometimes and sad stuff. But then, like you said, sometimes happy stuff, because you do help them, right? Help them pass or help them tell their story. And that's a big thing for you, is helping them with their stories, especially other people who've had experiences. Like you said, you interviewed a lot of people and got their stories out there.
Yeah, I think getting the stories is important for me, because I mean, I love storytelling, and this is what I do. I mean, I'm not one of these people that can help you and cross you over, but I can at least tell your story and give them a voice.
Do you ever think about writing a book about some of your experiences?
I thought about it because, I mean, I do have a lot of experiences. I could have, and I know there's other people that probably say the same thing. They also have a lot of experiences.
Right. Yeah. It's just a matter of getting around to doing it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we got this AR thing. Maybe it's easier to do something like that.
Yeah. It's.
Are there any locations that you haven't been to that you're thinking about going to next, or on your bucket list?
Usually I try to avoid the two popular ghost hunting spots within Cape Breton too much, because I know there's other ghost hunters that do them, and I'm trying not to go into the traditional spots that everyone does, because part of me, I try to do stories that were told, and that's what usually that sometimes I do the spots, like for example, like the Miners Museum and Savoy. Those have been done before, but I did those. So just to please some people, but to kind of give a mixture of stories that weren't told before as well.
Right.
Yeah.
To get them out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what else can you think about with some of the stories? Is there one that sticks out in your mind as the most sentimental?
I think that story with the boy was probably the most impactful one, the one with the boy. I told it before. I think it's because his story got me really into the creepy Cape Breton even more, because I felt I had to keep going there.
Do you ever get people talking about UFOs or cryptid creatures besides, the Bigfoot and any other cryptids?
Yeah, I did have some other people ask, but sometimes for me, sometimes not. Some people will tell me stories and then they disappear. Because I mean, I guess it's different versus telling it somewhere else, but I guess they know they're going to be on camera, and
okay, yeah,
it's a little tricky to tell those, and that's why I give people the option. If you want to go anonymous, you can, because I know people have a life at the end of the day,
Right. And I do anonymous shows too. I've done that before on radio with anonymous, and just have the little bubble up there and not use their name or anything like that. But have you ever had any cryptid creatures from the water?
There is a creature that is in Mi'kmaq tradition. I don't know if it's like a Loch Ness. I can't say the word. I forgot it, but there is a word for it, and it's a creature that's out of Mi'kmaq mythology.
And would that be in the ocean or lake, or where would that be, or reside?
In the lake, and that it's a lake monster people would encounter when they're fishing.
Okay.
I haven't heard any stories though about it. The main stories I usually hear about are the Bigfoot and the little people, the Udladimuj, and there's different ones. there's Stonehenge ones that are little people, and then you got the other ones that are little people, but they're on the land. So there's different types of little people as well, even within, within little people legends.
Oh, do you want to talk a little bit more about the little people? Pardon the pun.
I didn't do a story about them. I did kind of one in the first season, but it wasn't really, it didn't dive too much into it. It just, the guy thought it was a little person. Well, I guess they're earth spirits. I guess what people would call, elves or, gnomes
Right.
or whatever. That's what they are. But they're like, Wilma Simon, the one that I interviewed, had a lot of stories, and different people had different stories that I spoke with, and they had encounters with them. And, I guess.
Were they good encounters? Because I know a lot of people say that the ones here in Newfoundland are fairies, shall we say, are evil and not nice, right?
It depends which ones you meet. Some of them can be good. Some of them can be bad. Just like any spirits,
Yes.
they're bad, a mixture. Some people I know that's seen them, and it brought a chill to their, just looking at them, and freaked the hell out of them. So I mean, yeah, it depends on what kind you encounter, because some could be bad. Yeah.
What about UFOs? Anybody ever talk about orbs or aliens or stuff like that?
In the first season, I do one on UFO and alien abduction. I was hoping to do one this season, which unfortunately didn't work out. But I don't like to focus too much on UFOs. I don't find that very. It's just me. I just don't find them that amusing. But that's just me.
Yeah, it seems like everybody we're talking about drones all of a sudden, and then they all stop talking about it.
There's so much technology out there that everything is anything's possible. That pretty much there is UFOs out there but they're not alien ones. Like I think what's his name mentioned in the last season, Jordan Bonaparte, and he's right. But yeah, I think I like more closer encounters, people actually getting attacked by spirits and seeing them. I really go right into it. I don't like,
have you ever had
the light flickered and, I thought I saw something, I don't like those kind of stories. I like something that somebody actually seen it, or, or they got abducted, or.
Have you ever had any physical stuff happen to you besides visual seeing? Any other things happen?
I haven't really got touched on ghost hunts. But actually one of my executive producers does in one of the episodes. You'll see that they don't show it, but she was there, and I know she was pretty freaked out by that, and that was something that was that kind of got us. But I don't want to go too much into it, but
that's in season 2, right?
Season 2, yes, because I like people to enjoy it and to actually watch it. They're not long too, you could just sit down and just watch them, have a cup of coffee, or just hang out. It's best time watch it at night. Put on the music, put it up loud, because we did work a little harder on the soundtrack. We had Mark Delmont, who's an award-winning music composer. He did the music.
Nice.
And then we have special effects. 902 Post did an amazing job on the monsters, the creatures, and the special effects. And so we went through that. That turned out pretty good. And then, of course, my editor, as always, is Dennis Bradley. He always does a great job editing my stuff, and he's used to me, even does stuff for me, and for my CBCs as well. And he also did this for Creepy Cape Breton 1 and Creepy Cape Breton 2 as well.
So you had a lot of people behind the scenes working with you on this. It's a really big production.
Can't forget about the camera people too. Robert Zennerman and Saif Chowdhury, Saif. I always say his name wrong. And even myself, I did a lot of shots myself, and just went out and just got a bunch of shots, and just for extra B-roll. And yeah, I mean, there's a lot of work in season 2.
So who did your makeup and hair on your actors and things like that? Did they do their own hair and makeup? And
for the monsters, the creatures, we had Chelsea Frizzle, and she's great. She did fixed up the monsters, get the blood on them, and make them look creepy and ghostly. So she always does a great job. She did our first season as well. I always get her. As for the actors, they just do whatever they want. We just leave them whatever they want. We do have a makeup person, though. We do have Chelsea Sparkle, I think it is. Sorry, I'm getting mixed up with names. Mariah Spencer, my bad. Mariah Spencer. And she's great. She does like the makeup on people to make sure they look good, or, if they're going to be in the chair. But mainly, not really the interviews, more like she'll do some for me, or, but she's great. And trying to make sure I'm not leaving anyone out here.
Do you use a lot of drones and stuff like that for your B-roll?
Yeah, we have drone shots, with a lot of drone shots and things like that. We even got our own drone at the end of it, just so we can, if we have to, we don't have to hire somebody. We can kind of do a lot of our own shots.
Yeah, they're always fun. You can get different perspectives on things, right?
Oh yeah, yeah, and yeah, I think season 2, there's a lot more work involved in it. It took longer to get out than season 1 because we got delayed a bit on a few reasons, and because we were waiting for funding as well. That's one of the other things too. We had to, because when you get funding, you have to wait till you're at a certain process to apply for it. For example, a finishing fund. We can't apply for the finishing fund if we're in the middle of production. If we're near the end of our production, then we can try to apply for a finishing fund.
So what do you say to all the young producers out there who want to go and do this? What would you say to those people?
I guess try to make it your own. Don't copy other people, because it makes it harder when everyone's trying to do the exact same thing. Try to find your thing. Like if you're good at telling stories about Scottish traditions and you know a lot about it, go into it. Yeah, definitely. If you're really good at a certain ghost hunting equipment, put that in there, use that. Yeah, I just go with your strengths. Definitely. Yeah. And use your friends. It's all right. I that's how I started. Just use my friend, use my friends and family.
Put your friends and family in the video.
Still do.
And is it really hard to try to get different funds and things like that, or what do you do? Crowdsourcing or different things like that?
I have my executive producers, like I mentioned, Donna Davies and Anne Bernier. Ruby Tree Films is Donna Davies, and August Content is Anne Bernier. Having people like that to help you in this is good. Like people that know the business is good.
Right.
But it's a challenge because there's a lot of other shows out there. Like even right now with my premiere, I did so much work into it, and we did so much work into whole production, and we didn't even get this much promotions, which is kind of unfortunate. I mean, we put so much work into this versus the old one, and it's like this gold thing for us. It's amazing, but yet not many people know about our show.
Are you on TikTok, or can people find you on Instagram, Creepy Cape Breton?
Oh yeah, we're on it. I don't really use my Instagram, but it's there, and I have Facebook, Creepy Cape Breton. A lot of people are going on the Creepy Cape Breton Facebook though. It's good. We don't get a lot of fans here and there, but it's funny because we are one of the most watched show on Bell, and it's same. We didn't have a lot of fans, but still people were watching us. So that was good to hear. And hopefully this year will be the same.
Yeah, we'll get the word out there for you, and let's tell everybody again how to find you.
Yeah, I guess you just go on Bell 5, TV1. If you have Bell, all you have to do is you can just type in Bell, and you'll find season 1 and season 2.
Yeah, just hit channel 1 on your remote, and that's 5 TV1, and then just scroll down. I think when you scroll down, it's to the Cape Breton section, or there might even be different genres on there, like horror and things like that.
All you do is just type it in.
Yeah,
that's it. It comes in.
Or you can use it. I think there's an app on your phone you can use it with, 5 TV1 also. Is that right?
Yeah, you have to have the cable box. Oh, my thing ran out. Oh, there we go. Ghostly experiences. No, no, that's my light there. But yeah, no, you can just go on and it will go. You can find it. It's easy to find. Like we were at a hotel actually, and it was funny. My kids were there, and they said, "Mom, they're calling me in the other room." They said, "Look, Creepy Cape Breton's on this," because I didn't have Bell at the time, and they're right excited about it. I never thought of it as anything, but it was kind of funny how it just came up, like it was just in one of the ads up there.
So now for the folks who have Rogers, they can't get onto the 5 TV1, right? Unless they have 5.
Yeah, you do need 5. Yeah.
Go 5. Yeah, and for the folks down in the US and the UK who are listening, we'll have to send you some bootleg stuff.
I'm not saying anything, Belle. I'll get in trouble.
You never know. Maybe if you ask, we can find some stuff for you. But everybody follow Dawn and follow her on all of her socials and go watch Creepy Cape Breton and watch season 1 and season 2. You won't be disappointed. She put a lot of work into it and a lot of local people. So it's very Canadian. It's all Canadiana. If you're into that, I know there's a lot of people looking when they go to the grocery store. Is this made in Canada?
More Canadian than this. Yeah. Even the ghosts are Canadian.
Right. Well, before you go, do you want to share another story with us?
I can't think of anything else. I have a lot of other stories. I think, I guess there's always paranormal behind every story that I did. It's kind of weird, but I got something that was creepy, but not paranormal, but kind of paranormal, I guess. When we did the story at the church in season 1, we kept asking. We kept trying to get the captain to speak and on camera. We kept talking. And then, of course, an alarm went off on our phones. As an emergency alert system scared the crap out of us, because our stuff kept going off on its own. And we looked and said some guy wielding a knife was running around stabbing everyone. And it's like, oh, my God, that's crazy, and it was freaky because we saw desperate. And then after that, we get a bunch of ghostly activity was happening. He was answering us on a ghost box, EMF. Next day, we go to Member 2, and we're doing a story on the UFO.
Right.
And the guy we're interviewing, who's a counselor in Member 2, says, you know what? I'm so tired while I'm doing this interview. I was up all night because just down the street over there, they captured a man who was wielding a knife and going around stabbing everyone or something. And he was just up the street. And, oh, my God, we just looked at each other because we knew we got the alert.
Yeah, it was just up the road.
So not just paranormal, pretty scary stuff. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, you never know what's going to happen. You mentioned about some equipment or some stuff turned itself on and off. I mean, that really freaks me out when stuff like that happens, especially if you're in another room somewhere and it just comes on and starts blaring out. Like sometimes I'll be in another room somewhere and all of a sudden my computer will decide to turn on by itself and pick a podcast and randomly play it on blast. I'm like, yeah, I'll be doing a podcast later this week, so leave me alone. I think they like listening to the stories.
Yeah, maybe they like it. That could be it. They're saying, hey, come on, do some more podcasting.
Turn your computer on.
Yeah.
Well, Dawn, it's been great having you on the show. I really appreciate having you back. And I'm going to get some popcorn now and scare my husband and put on some creepy Cape Breton. So we're going to leave with some bog team music. I'll give you a choice now. We got metal, we got 80s, we got rap, we got rock, we got dance music.
I like metal.
All right. Metal. Okay, we'll leave you with some bog team metal music. And you're listening in right now on UPRN United Paranormal Radio Network on 107.7 FM in New Orleans and 105.3 FM on that Gulf. Well, you take care and have a great summer, Dawn. Everybody tune in to keep creepy Cape Breton tonight on 5 TV1 Season 2 and go back and watch Season 1.
Dark of the night, guided by whispers, by echoes of fright. In pursuit of the lost in the land of the free. The woods on the ground team, investigations are key. Crossroading stars and haunted mists, they chase the phantom where sorrow exists. With each step they take in silence profound, the roots of the cloud team seeking what's to be found. Their footsteps resound in the halls of the past. Their presence a beacon, a shadow they cast.